Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. Today, we have 1 week until we are live at Speak Up. I'm so excited to see everyone and hope you are too. I see some people are popping in the chat already. And so go ahead and chat away as you do, because today we're going to talk about our 15-minute appointments and how to really make the most of them. And I'm going to do a little bit of training during this call, and then I will have some additional information in the Facebook group for you. But my name is Carol Tetzloff, and I love Speak Up. My very first Speak Up conference, it really does feel like a long time ago. I remember when my appointment scheduled arrived, I remember I actually emailed Bonnie and I was like, Bonnie, I'd really like to meet this one person. And if that was possible, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea who Bonnie was at the time. I just really hope she didn't think I was a pest. But there was one person I really wanted to meet, and it was the acquisitions editor for Moody, because I'm a Bible study author, and that was my dream. So naturally, as I was walking in, and I remember when my appointment schedule arrived, and I was equal parts excited and completely terrified, because I did have the acquisitions director for Moody on my schedule, as well as a few others that I thought I should meet. I had a friend that was kind of helping me navigate that. And naturally, I thought, well, I better look like I know what I'm doing. So I prepared, and I really prepared. So I made one sheets, I made book proposals. I had 2 of them, which are actually harder to write than the actual book. I had business cards made. I thought I was all clever, and I took my business card and I attached to it a cute little flash drive that was the shape of a key. And on that flash drive was my 2 proposals, my 1 sheet, a bunch of information about me. I was convinced that that little flash drive was going to change the publishing industry. Now, I don't even know if anyone even plugged it in, but I remember telling my friend Erica. So my friend Erica Wigenhorn had invited me to go to Speak Up and just see what was there for me that year. And I kept telling her, I just want to be part of something that's bigger than me, part of something that would lead beyond just a book idea. I had spent so many years in ministry on staff at my church, and I knew there was something special about working together for the sake of the gospel. And when I had others in my circle to serve alongside, we were so much more effective. And so that's what I was really looking for. Like, who recognized the importance of community and of working together? Well, the moment came. All right, y'all, my appointments were the last 5 appointments of the entire Speak Up day, our conference. So I was like nervous the entire time. I was walking around from class to class. I made sure I went to the classes of the people I had appointments with, so I kind of got to know who they were. But there a moment came when I was ready to find my people. Well, kind of ready. So I walked into my very first appointment, sat down in the hallway. It's like speed dating on steroids. And I sat down with my first appointment. And my first appointment happened to be a dear friend and now my partner in ministry, Athena Dean Holtz with Redemption Press. And I had no idea really who she was, what she did, even though I had scoured the bios of all the people I had appointments with. I wanted to be at least somewhat prepared. So I opened up my notebook with all my beautifully organized papers. I looked Athena right in the eye and I said, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. That was my opening line. Like, seriously, no pitch, no speech, just complete honesty. And thankfully, Athena was incredibly gracious. Instead of expecting me to perform, she simply started asking me questions. She wanted to know about my message, my book, my audience, my heart, some of my goals. And she guided the conversation. And before I knew it, 15 minutes had flown by. Each appointment after that became easier and easier, not because I suddenly became some expert, but because I realized that these industry professionals, they weren't looking for perfection. They were looking for people who were honest, who were teachable. And let me tell you something else about that first conference. So I left with every possible response. One agent actually told me, no one's ever going to publish this book. Another agent pursued me for almost 2 years, but there was just something there that made me feel it wasn't the path for me. Perhaps it was the Holy Spirit. Some of them offered me encouragement, some gave direction, some challenged me to grow and to grow my platform. And every one of those conversations was valuable. After my first appointments, I walked down the hallway that was now deserted because everyone was in the great hall for lunch. And there was my husband, Kelly, waiting to hear all about it. Now, Kelly had come with me to speak up because I was too nervous to come by myself. And he saw me walking towards him, and I just broke down and began crying. And his eyes got so big. I'm sure he probably thought, well, that didn't go well. But the tears weren't because everything had gone wrong. They were actually because something had gone right. People understood this crazy dream that God had placed in my heart. People who believed, people that believed that he could actually use it. And now here's the part I want you to hear. Those 15-minute appointments, they didn't end with the publishing contract. But what it did was it started something so much bigger. It started relationships, and those relationships continued year after year after year. And the relationships that encouraged me when I wanted to quit, relationships that sharpened me and challenged me and opened doors that I could never even imagine. And eventually I did sign with my very first appointment with Athena at Redemption Press. And I joined the team. And today, by God's grace, I'm a co-owner of the company and an associate publisher. I also have, so do you see? God did exactly what I asked him to do. I wanted to be part of something bigger than me as I walked in to speak up, and he gave me something so much more. And now, even beyond Redemption Press and being able to help others publish, I have a wonderful agent. I have 2 traditional books under contract. You know, I would have never had predicted that from a terrified girl who began her first appointment by saying, I have no idea what I'm doing. So I tell you that story because I want to take a little pressure off. Your goal is not to leave Speak Up with a contract or to impress everyone you meet. Your goal isn't for the perfect pitch or the perfect proposal. Your goal is to begin relationships, to have conversations, to ask good questions, to learn and to grow, and to even discover what your next faithful step looks like. Because sometimes the greatest thing that comes out of your 15-minute appointment isn't the opportunity you receive that day. It's the relationships that change the direction of your life years later. So today, I want to help you make the most of your one-on-one appointments and every conversation you have at Speak Up, not because you want to have all the right answers, but because you're learning to ask the right questions. Sometimes the right question will open up the right door for you. So here we go. Here is the power of asking great questions. One of the most biggest misconceptions people have about one-on-one appointments is that they're supposed to impress the person sitting across the table. Can I take the pressure off of you right now? Your goal is not to impress them. Your goal is to learn from them. Think about it this way. If you walk into a doctor's office and spent 15 minutes telling the doctor everything you know about medicine, you'd probably walk out without getting much help. Why? Because the value isn't in proving what you know. The value is in asking someone who has more experience than you. The same is true at Speak Up. You're sitting across people who have published hundreds of books, represented countless authors. They may have edited thousands of manuscripts, planned conferences, built ministries. They have walked roads that you haven't even traveled yet. So why would you spend 15 minutes trying to convince them you already know everything? Instead, become curious and teachable. Become a person who asks thoughtful questions, because thoughtful questions lead to thoughtful conversations, and thoughtful conversations are going to build a lasting relationship. Here is a mistake that I see every year. Someone sits down with me and asks, "So, what do you think about my book?" Now, that's not a terrible question. It's just a really big one. I mean, where do I even begin? Instead, ask something specific. Imagine these two conversations. Author number one says, "I wrote a devotional. What do you think?" And the editor or publisher or agent smiles politely. Perhaps they ask a couple questions. They might offer some general encouragement, and then the appointment ends. Well, now, author number two says, "Based on your experience, what makes a devotional stand out in today's market?" Now, immediately the conversation changes. Now you're talking about readers. You're talking about structure, publishing trends, what is working, what isn't working. Instead of receiving an opinion on your project, you're receiving wisdom you can use for every project you write. And that's the difference a good question makes. You want to ask questions that match the journey that you're on. I have put together for you a question guide because not every person comes to speak up for the same reason. Some of you have nothing more than an idea scribbled in a notebook or perhaps on a napkin. Others have a finished manuscript. Some of you are launching a ministry. Some of you are launching a book. Others are relaunching one that didn't gain traction that you had hoped for. The questions you ask should reflect where you are today. If you're just beginning, what you want to think about are foundational questions. How do I even know if this idea has potential? What habits should I develop now? What classes should I take that will help me? Now, if you're in the middle of writing, ask about structure, organization, common mistakes, preparing for editing. And if you're preparing for publication, ask about that launch, marketing, building momentum and platform. Notice something? The questions are becoming more specific as your journey progresses. Now, you still will say your 1 minute pitch and have the person you're meeting with get an understanding of what you are saying, but now the conversation becomes much more meaningful. And I guarantee you that person that you are meeting with will remember you long after they remember someone who just says, "What do you think about it?" So come up with really good questions, and that's something I'm going to help you with. Here's another tip. Not every faculty member is the right person for every question that you have. If you're writing a children's book, be sure you're meeting with someone who understands children's books. Or if you're writing a memoir, meet with someone who has written a memoir or who has a hard story. Talk with someone who has experience in that area and in that genre. If you want to become a speaker, spend time asking speakers how they built their ministry. And if marketing is your biggest challenge, find people who are successfully building their audience. One of the best things you can do before the conference is simply look at the faculty list and ask, what can I learn from this person's experience? That's so much better approaching them that way than asking everyone the same exact questions. So once you get your list from Bonnie or whoever it is that sends it out on our team, take that list, do some research, find out who you're meeting with, what their specialty or their area of expertise is, and create a few questions that will guide your conversation. Now, don't forget hallway conversations. Here's something that took me a little while to learn, but some of the best conversations don't happen in your appointments. They happen while you're waiting in line for lunch, getting coffee, sitting next to someone before a workshop begins. Don't underestimate those moments. Some of the greatest ministry friendships I have today didn't begin in a scheduled appointment. It began with a simple conversation, a question, a shared story, a willingness to introduce myself and remember what I said earlier. I came to speak up because I wanted to be part of something bigger than myself. I wanted to find people, my people, and God answered that prayers in ways I have never imagined. And I could list person after person after person that has been part of my journey. And I'm sure if you've been part of conferences in this industry, you will have the same experience. God answered those prayers in such an abundant way. And those relationships were built just one conversation at a time. I also want to really encourage you to recognize that not everyone at Speak Up does the same thing. Every faculty member that's coming brings a different experience of expertise and perspective. The more you understand what they do, the better your conversation is going to be. So think of it this way. You probably wouldn't ask your dentist to diagnose your car or your mechanic to do a root canal. They're both experts, but in different fields. And the same is true there. Spend time doing some research, visit their website, listen to a podcast interview, read a few of their blogs. It only takes a minute, but it's telling the faculty member something very important. I value your experience enough to come prepared for our conversation. And that immediately changes the tone of your appointment. So instead of asking generic questions, you can ask something very specific. Now, if you're meeting with an agent, remember agents aren't looking at your long-term writing. They're looking really at your long-term writing career, not just one book. So ask questions like, what do you look for in a first-time author? What makes a proposal stand out to you? Is my genre something you're currently representing? And what would strengthen my submission before I send it? If you're meeting with the publishers are evaluating projects that fit their publishing vision and their readers. So questions could include something like, what kind of books are you actively looking for? What makes submissions stand out? What role does platform play in your decision making? And what work should I do on my manuscript before I submit it to you? Then if you're meeting with an editor, editors are experts at helping you create the strongest possible manuscript. So this is a perfect place to ask, what are the most common weaknesses you see? Or how can I better self-edit? Or what type of editing do I need next? What are the editing types if you're very new to the industry? What change would strengthen my writing the most? And if you're meeting with a speaker, don't spend all 15 minutes talking about your book. Ask about speaking, talk about ministry and about serving their audiences. How did you get started? What helped you build a speaking ministry? What do event planners look for? What would you recommend I work on first? And if you're meeting with a marketing expert, this is your opportunity to ask practical, current questions. And it's great to even look at some of the social media and websites of the faculty that's there before you meet with them, because then you would find out what they do for their marketing and be able to better get some ideas from that. So if you want to talk about growing your email list or social media launch strategies, how to do a podcast or how to get podcasts. If you're looking for social media, Shannon Popkin, she is a genius when it comes to posting on social media. But if you're looking for podcasts, Janet McHenry is your girl. She got 90 podcasts for one book in one launch. So talk to the people, find out what they do best, and then ask them questions so that they can help you foster that in your own ministry and launching your book or your speaking ministry. So one final thought. Remember, you don't need to impress the faculty. Just be honest. You don't have to prove how much you know. You don't need to ask them 20 questions. You just need to ask them the right question. And remember, some of the most valuable conversations you have are not going to happen during that scheduled appointment. So to help you prepare, I have created a complete question guide that I'm going to put in the Facebook group. So if you're not in the Facebook group, there's a lot of training already there that we've done, and it's all found in the guides. And inside that question guide, you're going to find dozens of thoughtful questions organized by things like your stage as a writer, genre, speaker, marketing, platform building, all the things. You don't need to ask all of them. In fact, don't. If you walked into a 15 appointment with a list of 40 questions, your appointment would end somewhere around question 3. So instead, just go through the questions, highlight the ones that are a good fit for you, maybe choose your top 2 or 3, because those questions are going to help create meaningful conversations that will help you be remembered. Great appointments aren't about how much you're talking, it's about how much you're learning. And sometimes one great question can change the direction of your writing, your ministry, your speaking, or even your life. Now, the other thing that I'm going to place in the Facebook group as well is how to prepare your 1 minute talk. Because when you sit down, one of the first things you do as you introduce yourself, you can tell the person you're meeting with a little bit about you. But if you take 12 minutes to tell them about you, you're not going to have time for a good conversation. So I will put just some guidelines so you can create that little pitch that you have to tell them a little bit about who you are, and then think of one question that you can start with, and then perhaps that will guide a question that will really make a difference as you have your appointments this year at Speak Up. All right, I will go through quickly the comments. So Bonnie put something down here. Hi, Bonnie. Good to see you. She says, oh my goodness, I can't see. That's way too small. Hold on. For all the people coming in person conference, you will receive your printout early next week. If you have not yet sent in your list of your top 10, you can still do that. And you can send your email to Bonnie, your list of who you want to meet with, and she will try the very best to do that. If you're part of the virtual, you received the link for our Google sheet, and you can start typing in there. Please only make one appointment with a faculty member. Don't schedule two with the same faculty member. We want to make sure that everyone has a chance to meet with them that wants to. So schedule one for a faculty member, and that Google sheet has all the information on it, and the email you received also has all the information. If you did not receive an email yet, because the last set went out this morning, make sure that you respond to that virtual support email that you've been getting as part of the virtual conference, and I'll make sure to answer that for you. Let me quickly see. Here's something. My understanding is that we will have 4 appointments and email Bonnie with the top 10. Yes, that is exactly true. She's going to try and get you 4 appointments scheduled. And then when you get to Speak Up, everyone has their sheets out. And after a certain time period, they allow you to go in, and perhaps you meet someone and you want to schedule a time, or someone says, I want to, why don't you schedule a time with me if you want to meet maybe one of the faculty members, and then you can sign up then. All right, what's here? There are a lot of choices for my speaking and podcasting track. How do I know who's best for me? A lot of the profiles are the same for my questions. Yeah, there's a ton of speakers. There's a ton of podcasters. So just go in and kind of maybe see someone who has a message that is closely related to yours, a podcast that's something that you would want to be on, or perhaps have a podcast that reaches the same audience that they're reaching. So just ask yourself questions as you're looking through their bio and their website to see which one would be the best for you. And just, pray about it and trust the Holy Spirit to guide you, because he definitely will. I don't remember how many appointments we have. Typically you start with 4. How does the relationship with the publisher or editor continue after the conference? Well, that depends on the conversation that you have. Sometimes the publisher will ask you to, or the editor or the agent will ask you to send something to them to look at after the conference is over. Other times you'll be asked to hop on another call for a longer conversation. I know that's what happens with me often when I meet with people, and 15 minutes just isn't enough time. So you really just kind of figure out with each person what that follow-up is. And the other thing is, you don't want to bring a lot of paper because they don't want to take it home with them. Digital is really the best. You can bring your one sheet, you can bring a business card, but if you have a proposal, I would ask them permission to send it to you. There might be a few that would want paper copies. I know that paper copies just get stacked up, where if I can have it in an email, it's so much easier for me to find and to review just as I'm flying home on my computer instead of trying to navigate a lot of paper. It doesn't mean you don't bring it. It just means to be very prepared to be able to give it out digitally. So I haven't received, what's to say, Lorraine, I haven't received my link yet. Is it emailed to each of us after this YouTube? So I'm not quite sure, Lorraine, what link you're talking about. If it's your link to sign up, if you have signed up for the deluxe or the all access, you should have received it. If not, go ahead and you have my email. So go ahead and send me an email and I will check to see where you are just so I don't forget after this live. We have lots of fun comments. Everyone's excited to be there. I am super excited and look forward to that. Let's see one more. When would you offer your one sheet and business card as you introduce yourself? At the end of the conversation, or should you wait till they ask? So personally, me, I like you to hand it to me right away. That way I don't forget to ask for it and then I have it. If they decide they don't want it, they will decline it, and that's fine. I don't really know anyone that's going to decline it from you, but just have that, and then always have them with you even when you're sitting at a meal, when you are in a classroom taking a workshop, during like the writer critiques or even your speaker critiques, so that it's available if somebody does ask. I personally love business cards and one sheets because it's an easy way for me to remember who I met with and what they were pitching to me. Let's see, you're welcome, Lorraine. Let's see, Susan, are business cards better than the same info on a larger sheet like a 5x7 card? I mean, it depends on what you're putting on it. So I love business cards because it quickly tells me your name and your email. That's the two things that I really want. If you have a larger 5x7 that tells me a little bit about your project, that's great because it helps me remember what you're doing. And that's why one sheet is such a valuable tool when we perhaps meet after Speak Up or I reach back out to you. And I'm sure others that are meeting with you, especially publishers, editors, agents that are interested in what you have, being able to have that information is so fantastic. Is there a Facebook group for 2026? Yes, there is. There is a Facebook group. And if you give me a second, well, actually, I don't think I can post. I don't know if I can post it or not. I will try to post it. Let me see if I can do that. So sorry, this is not in the plan. Oh, you know what? I will post it. It's been sent to you in several emails, Jackie. So hopefully I'll send it out again and you can enter in to the Facebook group. And then Michelle says, looking forward to the virtual conference and meeting with you, Carol. I am looking forward to that too. Super fun. I love the virtual and I'll see my face quite a bit because I'll be on. But anyone who wants to meet, I would love to meet with you after the conference because, the conference is a little bit busy. So thanks for asking all of your questions. Be sure to tune into the Facebook group. Be looking. So by tomorrow, I'll start posting those questions and posting them a couple at, what sections at each day so that you don't get super overwhelmed with it and you take the time to actually read it. And again, if you need the training that we've already done all the way back, I've been going live by myself as well as with Carol Kent since the first week in May, y'all. Like there's a lot of training in there. So go in, look at the guides. Everything that we've done is meant to help you take the next step and be very prepared when you enter into Speak Up. We are also going to be posting in the next couple of days just a lot of details about the location, what you should bring, and those types of things that will really help you have the best experience possible. So thank you for being with us today and with me today. And I look forward to seeing you next week at Speak Up.